Okay. This is the very first live stream ever. I don't know if it's working. So, yep, we are live. I guess we are actually live. So, if you're here, drop a comment. Hey, peasant. How's it going? It's working. Okay, that's good. Can you hear me? Thanks, Jaren. It's good to see you. So this is the very first time I've ever done this. So I've done Facebook Lives a handful of times, but this whole YouTube Live thing is new, which is funny because I have a lot more people on YouTube interested in what I'm doing than on Facebook. I don't know, but I've just always been a little nervous or scared to try it, to be completely honest with you guys. So I'm going to be doing some Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments section, and I would be more than happy to cover just about anything you guys want me to cover, except for the stuff that I don't know. So I had actually put up a community post a little while ago, like a week ago, letting you guys know that I was going to be doing a live Q&A, and got a few questions that were presented that I'm going to go ahead and cover first. And then if you guys have any other questions you want to drop, you can feel free to do that. I don't want to make this like a super long live stream because I know for me, I like stuff being a little more to the point, which is why I talk fast. I've had some people say I talk too fast. Sorry. But yeah, if you're here, again, drop a comment. I'd love to know who's here. Peasant's here. Jaren's here. If you're here, drop a comment. Okay, so a few questions that I've gotten, kind of starting at the top. The first question I got was covering vocal effects. The other one was writer's block. How do you overcome it? Electronic drums being more musical in Logic. And another one was about if you're working on an album, whether you want each track to sound the same thematically, and then talking a little bit about intros, outros, and bridges. Those are some really good questions. So the vocal effects side of things in Logic Pro, it's not DAW specific. I don't really think it matters what DAW you're using. I think my favorite vocal effect is probably vocal throws. I want to make a whole video on this eventually. But it's the idea where you basically take a vocal and then you get a whole basically delay where if you're to do something like take my hand, you get the whole thing. It's called a vocal throw. It's really awesome. I'll have to make a whole video explaining how to do it because it would make way more sense than me just talking about it. I think maybe in the future what I'll do is I'll actually have a session open and ready to go to actually cover some stuff and show you guys some things. But yeah, that was from John Boo Boo. Yeah. Jaren, am I booking sessions currently for artists? I take artists remote. So whenever I'm producing artists, it's all remote. So I don't have people typically coming into my studio unless Anna Claridge is one that comes to my studio quite frequently. Yeah, I can totally make a video on the vocal throw stuff, guys. Am I answering your question, Jaren? Is that what you're asking? If I'm booking artists? For artists, yeah. So I produce artists. Hi, Manuel, Branna. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Hey. But yeah, Jaren, I do. I'm doing a little less of that and focused a little more on the education side of things. But yes, I am still taking artists. Wrapping up a couple very soon. One of them is actually, I know he watches some of my YouTube videos as well. But yes, most of the stuff I'm doing is more like cinematic pop. That's most of the stuff that I'm kind of doing as far as producing. Let's talk about writer's block and how to overcome it. That was one of the other questions. And again, just for anyone who's kind of dropping in, if you have any questions for me, just feel free to drop them in the comments section. I want to make this like pretty interactive, and just answer any questions you guys have. So, writer's block. You know what's interesting about it is you can read a lot of articles that say writer's block is fake, it's not real. I mean, sort of, but I kind of agree. I kind of disagree. As far as writer's block goes, I think a lot of times writer's block is a result of not really experiencing enough, and or not just trying new things and putting yourself out there a little bit more. And so I know for me, I've had two different times in my life over the last 12 years where I've had to take like a pretty significant break from writing music. And so that's something where I think what oftentimes happens, and every time this has happened, the two times it's happened for me, when I came back, I was writing music way better, and I had a totally different perspective. And I think in many cases, some of the practical things you can do, other than just taking a break, is going outside for a walk. And this is like going to sound really kind of lame, but like seriously, I think this is really good advice. Go outside for a walk, go do something you haven't done in a long time, or do something that you've never done before, and allow yourself to truly experience it. The third thing you can do is learn more. Learn more. No joke. If you learn more music theory, you will be able to be more creative. And music theory as a whole, like I've really contemplated making some videos on music theory and kind of contextualizing it into how do we as modern musicians, you know, how do we as modern musicians utilize music theory, in a way that works, in a way that's not feeling like mathematical or scientific and more creative. I think that learning theory is really a good thing. I think it has a bad rap. Um, so like for example, I've got my piano here. If you're really stuck using like four chords, for example, and you're struggling with, man, like I really have writer's block, and all you're doing is using these four chords, 1, 4, 5, and 6, then yeah, like maybe what you need to do is learn a little bit more about chord progressions and understand, what are different things that I can do. For example, using like Mixolydian, you could do that. That basically is just taking a major scale and then adding a flat 7. So in C major, you'd be adding a B flat. And then now you're going to be able to have chord progressions like this. That sounds totally different. And you can actually come up with way better melodies through that. And for me, like writing music is always more about the music than it is about the lyrics. I know some people are like totally different. Some people start with the lyrics and they don't even think about the music for a while. I can't do that, or I have a very hard time doing that. And so there's like 100 different ways to work. There's more than 100 different ways to work. There's like so many different ways that you can do things. And I think at the end of the day, it's whatever's going to work for you. But as far as just writer's block in general, some of those things I mentioned, again, like go for a walk or take a break for like a few days or a week or something. Go do something you've never done before, and then literally like contemplate how it makes you feel, and then turn that into a song. The third thing is learn more theory. And you can literally just like either go on YouTube and learn theory, or like, like there are plenty of courses on theory too that you can get. And I don't think that's a bad idea. So anyone, I don't have any other questions jumping into the chat box. If you guys have questions, drop them in the chat. So that was that question. If you guys want me to elaborate on anything as far as that goes, let me know. The next question I had here was how to make electronic drums feel more musical and logic. So pretty much that all comes down to velocities and then just creating patterns that are realistic. So I guess it also depends on genre. I mean, you can say like electronic drums. Are we talking like hip hop style? Or are we talking like more like acoustic drums that's just digital, or like sampled? Or it kind of depends on what we're talking about. I think if we're going for like, you want that acoustic live kind of sound, then velocity is like where it's all at. And then just doing things that are like pretty realistic. So for example, like, really pay attention to how drummers actually play, and then use that, to start emulating it. So for example, like pay close attention to like the snare and what drummers oftentimes do in the snare. Boom, boom, they're going to do things like that, where they're going to do kind of like these kind of, you're like, wow, that was really bad. But you get the idea. They're going to do things with like ghost notes. They're going to do all those things. And so that's where you would need to program all of that in, with your MIDI, like 16th and 32nd notes and rolls and things like that. And then really reduce the velocity of those notes within your MIDI, within your piano roll. And then you are going to just get really, really detail oriented. So if you want super realistic sounding drums that are MIDI, I actually have a whole video on that too. You guys can just like check back on my other videos that I've done. That was a video I made quite a while ago, probably last year sometime. But yeah, that's a great idea to do. When making music, am I conscious of making each track sound the same thematically when working on an album, or do you just go with whatever inspires you at the moment? Both. I mean, honestly, most people are doing albums right now. Like most people are doing singles, but even like, but on an EP, yeah. I mean, like there's some of it where you want some of the sounds to be similar, but I try to treat each song kind of individually, and then if it comes up to where it's like, hey, like I did that on the other song, I could kind of use that here too. That can be pretty cool as well. That's more of a mixing thing though, and mastering. Like mixing and mastering, yeah, you're gonna want that to sound like pretty cohesive. I no longer do my own mixing. I hire that out. And then I was asked if I could talk about making intros, outros, and bridges, how to make them, and when to use them. Main thing with intros is keep them really short. Like long intros, especially if you're looking on Spotify. If you have a longer intro, well, any sort of streaming, you can look at analytics to see when people are leaving. And people typically leave within the first 15 seconds if you have not hooked them. So the drop rate is super high on any song that does not, capture attention right away. So, LAZ, hello, hi, how are you? So as far as like intros go, shorter is typically better. And if you're going to have a little bit of a longer intro, I think it's really important that you make it interesting, that you make it like purposeful. I really believe in intentional production and intentional songwriting and intentional everything. I'm really, really particular about being very intentional about why am I doing this? Is it actually fulfilling the goal of what I want to do with this particular song? And then really using that as my entire guiding force, So if you have an intro that's like 15 seconds long, you really need to ask yourself, why? Is that necessary? Could it be shorter? So if you have an 8-bar intro, does it need to be 8 bars? Like, really, does it really need to be 8 bars, or could it be 4? Or should you just jump right in? Also, notice how much music nowadays starts with the chorus or some sort of a modified chorus. So your intro doesn't have to be an instrumental intro. You can do all sorts of things to really just capture attention very, very fast. One of the things that I see so often from self-producing artists, home studio producers, is these intros that are just so long that I'm literally skipping ahead. I'm like, man, like I can't even listen to this whole thing. And so if your intros are really long, that's a problem. Outros, same thing. I mean, just keep it brief, keep it to the point. It's going to depend on the song. It's going to depend on the context of what you're doing. You want to be smart about it, intentional about it. I like a lot of songs that just end. I like songs that end with an intro too. That can work. Like do something similar, or doing some sort of kind of tipping of the hat to something else that you've done. So people that are here, I already mentioned this. If you have any questions for me, drop them in the comments. Anything music related, it does not matter. Songwriting, producing, arranging, sound design, whatever else y'all got. Okay, so those were all the questions that I had. That was really fast. Boom. It's like 15 minutes, not even 15 minutes. That seems like a short time to do a stream. I want to hang out with you guys and answer any questions you guys have. It's probably going to take some time for these streams to like pick up some speed and everything, because this is my first time doing it. And if you guys have any ideas for videos too, I want to know. I want to know what you want me to talk about. I've got a video coming out tomorrow morning, a new video on vocal chops and how I do vocal chops. Keep an eye out for that. Anyone, drop a comment. Drop a comment. If not, then this is just a short stream. What's my opinion on Isotope and Universal Audio? I mean, they're good. I don't really get too, I don't know. I'm not too picky about, I mean, I would say my favorite plugins are, eh, like, I'm a huge Native Instruments fan. I'm a huge Sound Toys fan. I have some stuff from Waves and Isotope, but not a ton. So I don't have a ton of opinions. Everything I have from both are really good. Or did you said Universal Audio, not Waves? Believe it or not, I don't have anything from Universal Audio. Fun fact, I do not own anything from Universal Audio. So I do not have opinions about Universal Audio. I have contemplated for a very long time buying the Apollo Quad, but just never pulled the trigger. I'm a huge Native Instruments fan. Um, like my keyboard is the Complete Control S88. It is absolutely bomb. I've got the Complete Ultimate 12. Yeah. I I'll just say as far as like anything plugin related, like unless it's furthering my goal as a producer specifically, I really don't care too much about the brands. I don't really care too much about what it is. I just want it to work. I know mixing engineers are definitely a lot more intense about what they want and what they want to use. Um, I know that's a really vague answer. I apologize. I don't have, like I said, I just don't have. I, I I just don't really feel like it matters too much what you're using. Yeah, I don't have Arcus. I want to. I want to. Ah, I just got the complete Ultimate 12. I actually just recently started a relationship with Native Instruments, which is incredible. It's like literally a dream of mine. I was telling my wife several months back, I said, if someday I can work with Native Instruments, I'll have officially made it. And then like a month ago, I started working with Native Instruments a little bit more. And it was like, okay, that was fast. But yeah, not like I'm not like sponsored by them, but we have a relationship now, so which is cool. What's the best practice for vocal processing? Whatever works. Shane, how's it going, buddy? So vocal processing. Um, I think best practices are first getting a really solid take. Like I don't that cannot be understated. Like getting a phenomenal performance and then capturing that performance in a phenomenal way. So a phenomenal performance captured crappy is a crappy performance. It's the equivalent. A crappy performance captured perfectly is a crappy performance, and it's going to be crappy no matter how much processing you do. So I think before we even start talking processing, a really big thing I want to do with this channel, by the way, for everyone here, I really want to help people understand how important the actual the writing is, the arranging is, and the actual production is, in that the mixing side is like this. Like it's that. It does now in terms of how it impacts the sound, like yeah, like mixing can really do phenomenal things. But if you're listening to the tracks that I'm sending to my mixing engineer, most people would be like, that sounds like phenomenal. Like that sounds great. And it's like, that's not even mixed yet. Like the mixing is just like bumping it up that extra little bit. Anyway, as far as best practices for vocal processing, so again, getting a great performance that's captured well, so you're not peaking above -6 dB, in a good room, or with a microphone that's not going to capture a lot of that crap. This microphone that I'm using right here, the Lauten LS208, is like really good for. I mean, like for example, my air conditioner is running right now. You probably can't even hear it. This is a large diaphragm condenser mic, which is incredible, but it's designed that way. It's not. It's designed to work well in kind of rooms. But as far as the actual processing, sorry, I'm like taking a while to get to your actual what you actually asked. EQ to remove bad frequencies, so notching out bad frequencies. The best way to do that is to have a really high Q, which is how sharp and narrow the actual bell is, and then moving it through the whole spectrum, finding those frequencies that are really bad, and then notching those out anywhere between 3 and 6 dB, depending on what you need, and then keeping it a pretty short, like shallow cut. You're going to want to do some sort of a high pass filter. You can do those on the mics a lot of times. So if you have a mic that has that, then have that activated because that makes it a little easier. And again, it's like getting that good source. So like this mic has 3 different settings. It can have either no high pass, I think at 50 hertz cut, and then 120. So going with that. And then compression and reverb and delay. Those are like the main. That's like the main sauce. Like honestly, if you could only give me 4 plugins to work with for like long term, EQ, compression, reverb, delay. Like that's you can make phenomenal music like over and over and over and over and over again with just those 4 plugins. Typically, my vocal chain is going to be compression first if the signal sounds really good. Then I'm gonna do an EQ. Uh, so yeah, sorry, there was another comment here. It, wow, completely lost my train of thought. Compression, usually doing like a pretty mild amount of compression, like 5 dB of reduction. The second thing is EQ. I'm gonna have cut out all the lows. Usually, you're gonna want to cut somewhere around 250 for a male voice. That's where a lot of the kind of woofiness is, and kind of yeah. But again, use that notch idea of like boosting and then subtractive EQ. A lot of times I like adding a little bit of the high end for like some clarity and bite. Again, that totally depends. Sometimes I do that later on in my vocal chain. And then I'm usually going to compress again. Now, you just need to keep in mind that most of the music that I'm doing is a little bit more in the pop, like heavier, like more in your face vocals. If you're doing like folk music, you're not going to want to process it the same. Or if you're doing like, yeah, there are genres that you don't want to do that. EDM, for example, like if you have EDM, those vocals are like just smashed. Like they're just super crushed in terms of like compression. Um, my genre, like I want them to be dynamic still, but like they kind of don't need to be, because the rest of the arrangement's super dynamic, and then the vocal, I just want the vocal to be like straight on top. But again, so yeah, Shane, hopefully did that answer your question? and then I'm gonna be busting out for reverbs, busting out for delays. A good trick for reverb, by the way, Shane, is to use a larger room as well as a smaller space. I said room, but I meant space, like a larger space, like maybe like a larger vocal plate, and then a smaller room, and then mix those in, because the room is going to kind of add like this like kind of depth to it, whereas that larger space is going to add more of that actual like what you hear, that presence of the reverb. But the smaller one almost adds a little bit more of just the like it's almost like you can tell when it's not there, but you can't really tell when it's there. I don't know. Maybe that makes sense. Maybe not. This stuff's actually kind of it's fun to talk about, but you kind of have to know you kind of have to know most of this stuff already almost to really understand it. Brian Pa Musica, good vibes from Puerto Rico. Hola, ¿cómo estás? I sort of can speak Spanish. I used to be a lot better at it. LAZ, someone to love it. Arcus, I assume that's what we're talking about. Okay. Ooh, you're doing a visual novel soundtrack project? That is dope. Damon I Death created a soundtrack to the visual. What's up, Steve? How's it going? From down under from Australia. Hey. It's like 7 o'clock my time, so I'm guessing it's like already during the day your time. That's awesome. Thank you. Brian, thank you. Appreciate that. I love hearing that. This channel, by the way, just gonna say this for those that are here, because like, thank you for being here. Seriously, back in January, I had like 1,000 subscribers, and now just yesterday or the day before yesterday, I broke 18,000. And I think a lot of times, because I've had some people who were like, whoa, like, they didn't really know me back then, like new friends that I have and stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, your channel is growing really fast, whatever. Like, as if I've always been here. And like the growth in this channel has been very like surreal for me. I feel like I'm kind of just a nobody. I kind of don't feel like someone that has a channel that's about to go into 20,000 plus subscribers. Cause I used to think like, holy crap, like 20,000 subscribers, like you're famous or whatever. And here I am. I'm like, I'm not famous at all. So it's like perspective changes and stuff. But just thank you guys. Like seriously, I'm just so thankful. Shane, thank you. I'm glad that helped. Shane, here's another pro tip. stereo delays. Stereo delays are awesome. And what you should be doing is, depending on the vibe that you're going for. What's my take on Steve? I'll get to your question on Spitfire strings in just a second. So as far as like delays, stereo delays, I love stereo delays. Now, of course, stereo delays are going to be, different time on each ear. So of course it's going to be pretty wide. There are some circumstances where you don't want to do that. You want it to be in the middle because you want to kind of tuck it away a little more. But if you do like an eighth and then a dotted eighth, those work really, really well. Or like a dotted eighth and like a triplet half note can work really well. And then again, like you need to know that like most of these delays, you can kind of filter things. So you can, say for example, the delay is like really kind of biting through the mix, then like slap an EQ on it. Or in many cases, the delay itself is going to actually have an EQ where you can either do like a low pass filter or a high pass filter. So if you want it to be like this, really thin, tinny delay that doesn't eat up a whole lot of space in the lows and the mids, then literally you can just like filter all that crap out. And it works really, really well. And then the same thing, if you feel like it's kind of biting too hard, then you can just do the same thing. You can like kind of shave off some of the high end a little bit. So if the delay itself doesn't have that, this is why using buses is so great, because you can just filter out that specific thing rather than doing things on the actual track. So for example, if you just slap that delay on the track itself, if you then put an EQ to filter out stuff, it's going to filter everything out on that track. Whereas if you create a bus, right? So you send your audio to a delay and then you add an EQ after that delay, that's only going to be affecting that effect or impacting that effect, changing that effect, and it won't be changing the primary source itself. So 10:30 a.m. Friday, 10:26. Mark, hey, another guy from Australia. Or maybe he's just doing the math. Are you from Australia, Mark? Hope you're doing well. Okay, my take on Spitfire strings. So I do not own the professional version of Spitfire strings. I would love to. So what I have is the BBC Orchestra. I got the free version of that, and then like I have the Burn Country Music. How's it going, buddy? I'll get to your question here in a second. So as far as strings go, I don't know about like the professional grade strings on Spitfire. I've heard really good things. For me, LAZ, thank you. That's awesome. That's so cool. So as far as I was like blown away, guys. Like why are you guys listening to me? So like as far sorry. As far as strings goes, I got into East West first. No. Native Instruments was my first. So my first bundle that I ever bought was Native Instruments. I was 19 years old. I had it's kind of a crazy story. I literally met this like filmmaker at a birthday party, and it was like crazy. He owns this film company, and I was like, this freshman or sophomore or whatever in college, getting my degree in music composition, and film scoring was like the thing I wanted to do. I was like, I want to be a film composer. And I was like, do you like, hey, like I want to, like I compose music and I record music. I've been doing it for like quite a while, and I think it'd be pretty cool to do film scores or whatever. And so it's just like, sure, like let's do it. And so he was like, I pay you like $300 for this like 5-minute commercial ad that they were doing. It's like, sure, sweet. Well, I did it, and I didn't own anything other than what was in Logic. So I did the whole thing using stock instruments and everything like that. And then I like realized like, shoot, like if I'm going to start charging people, I should probably have better sounds. So then I ended up buying the Native Instruments Complete Ultimate 8 or 9. Anyway, it was like an older version. And so then my first experience with like digital sampled strings was the Native Instruments strings that came with it. They had Session Strings Pro, which was way better than like the Contact Factory library. I did like the Contact Factory stuff for a little while, but it's almost impossible to get those things sounding anywhere half decent because there's like hardly any expression control. Steve, you asked about Spitfire. I'm like, so sorry. I'm like completely taking a detour here. So anyway, like I got into Native Instruments strings, and then really was into that. And then I looked at Spitfire, East West, and Vienna Symphony Library for my upgrade for the next thing that I ended up getting, because I was thinking I'm gonna go the film scoring route, and that's like what I thought I was going to do, like for sure. And so I just invested in like more of the cinematic stuff. So I ended up buying East West Quantum Leap Symphony Orchestra, like the gold version. So I have like their horns, their woodwinds. I have the dark side, which honestly, the dark side, it kind of sucks. But and then I have their strings. So the East West Quantum Leap strings are incredible. They are just a massive pain in the butt to work with. From what I've experienced so far with Spitfire, seems way more intuitive, way easier to use. But this is where the plot twist is. Native Instruments now has their symphonic series, and I was recently given like the complete Ultimate 12 from Native Instruments, which is incredible. And I was able to start using their symphonic stuff. It sounds amazing. I'm completely blown away. Also output, yes. Signal is dope. Movement is dope. Ah, yes. I love output so much. If only their desk would support like a full 88 key keyboard. Jonathan, how's it going? You're welcome for the 30 tips in Logic Pro video. Thank you. It's awesome. So anyway, swinging back to Steve, take on Spitfire strings. Everything I have seen tells me that Spitfire, like the professional version, is absolutely incredible. Eventually, I will get it. Right now, I already just have enough stuff. I'm kind of a minimalist, to be completely honest with you. I'm kind of a minimalist in terms of what I choose to buy and where I choose to invest my money, because I have a lot of stuff that I don't use. And so it's hard for me to be like, oh, I want to buy all this new stuff when I already have so much stuff that I don't use. It's so like for me, buying plugins is just like so low on my priority of things I want to buy. Especially since I'm not doing my own mixing anymore, I really have no need to just like buy a ton of plugins. My whole kind of future of investing is like 100% is Javawaki, how's it going? Click the bell, I guess. We're still rolling here, man. So we're still rolling. If you have any questions, drop it. More than happy to take more questions. I'll hang out with you guys as long as you want to hang out with me. My wife is actually just left for out of town with my son, so I'm home alone. The guy's like, I'm bored. I'm bored. Todd, how's it going? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Todd. Todd says loves the channel, learns a lot. Great style and approach, a lot to share. Thank you. That's awesome. I'm happy to be a help. And yeah. Okay. Let's see if there's any other questions. Oh, yeah. Burn Country Music. You had a question. Sorry. How do you use your references when mixing when the reference is mastered? How do you know how much saturation and warmth is going to be polished during mastering? That's a really good question. So turn it down. That's the first thing. Is when you pull it into your DAW or however you decide to do it, turn it down. Like even if you're using Spotify, then you can like actually just turn it down and try to just match the levels the best you can. It's gonna sound more bright. Like that's just naturally, yeah. So I mean, naturally, it's probably gonna sound more bright. But mix it as close to the master as you can possibly get it. And this is honestly why I don't do my own mixing, because it is Bruce, Big Daddy Wayne. I will get to your question. How's it going? First of all, hope you're doing well. I'll get to your question in just a second. But as far as like referencing, I mean, honestly, guys, like I'm not a mixing engineer, so I think there's a lot of, I don't want to say confusion, but I think there's this feeling that Wilka's Reed, how's it going? I think there's this like thought that we as producers, like we have to know how to do our own mixing. And that's not necessarily true, especially if you start talking about working with clients. It's probably a really good idea for you to bring a second set of ears in. Now, if you're like, if I'm doing stuff for myself, yeah, I'll do my own mixing because it's just stuff for myself. And like, but if I'm working for a client now, like now I'm subbing all of it out. And that's pretty recent, but I've worked that into my budget when I'm working with an artist. Abby, hi. So yeah, I know that's probably not like a super in-depth answer to that question as far as referencing, but the main thing is like turn it down and then just like literally mix it as close to it as you possibly can. And then you just need to know that yeah, there's gonna be a lot of that like it's probably gonna sound a little more edgy. It's probably depending on what you're going for. Probably gonna be a little more bright. It's probably gonna have a lot more of that punch and everything like that. So send it, and if you send it to a good mastering engineer, they're gonna have thoughts too. Like they will be able to be like, hey, I think you should do X, Y, Z. Any advice on how to write a film score? Yes, I do. I have done Javawaki. I will answer yours in just a second here, and it looks like my camera's battery is dying, so it might switch to my webcam here in a second. Um, okay, advice on writing a film score. First of all, film scoring is really hard. I think a lot of people do not understand how difficult it is to write to score a film. So I've done, I think, 10. I think I've done 10. No features, FYI, like all shorts. Ton of fun, literally incredible. Love doing it. I had a chance to do a feature film, but just I ended up turning it down. And it is what it is. But as far as film scoring, Logic is a phenomenal DAW, first of all, to use for film scoring. I don't know what DAW you're using. Logic, and I think, is probably the best for film scoring. It's super intuitive to use. So a couple things. First of all, this is just super practical. I actually mentioned this in one of my the video I just put up here recently. SMPTE lock, SMPTE lock is huge. Like, use it, because otherwise, when you start changing tempos and things like that, you're going to screw yourself over. So make sure you're using that. So if you score something a little later on in the film, like the most recent one I did was for an animated film where I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had no idea what to do at the beginning. I was like, I don't know, like figure it out later. So I like just go to a spot that I know, okay, like I know what I can do here. Here's something if you want to get really good at writing music. Do the thing that gets you the fastest win as quick as possible. I'm a firm believer, and if you have like a really fast win, it's going to just like skyrocket your ability to produce quicker, write quicker, arrange quicker. So start just making decisions like super, super fast. So this kind of goes into Javawaki's question. I'm talking really fast because I get so excited about this stuff. Like seriously, this stuff makes me so excited. So as far as scoring a film, I would start with just basic ideas first. Like figure out just like watch the film without sitting down at your piano or your keyboard or whatever you write with. For me, I'm a very tactile composer. I like sit down. I mean, I'm just gonna sit down and I'm gonna start playing because I'm like super tactile. But I'm a pianist. Like, and I've been playing piano my entire life. That's the instrument I've been playing longer than anything. I've been doing piano longer than anything else. But as far as film scoring goes, if you watch a film, first of all, it's terrifying because you realize, oh my gosh, there's nothing here, and it's my job to fill all this space. Crap, that's hard. But start just like imagining and start singing it. Like literally, as stupid as that sounds or as weird as that sounds, I will watch a film 2, 3, 4 times, and I will literally just start singing and humming whatever the idea is. Da 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 da. Like, and I'll start just like going with it. You know what I mean? And oh, so you just have the script hasn't been shot yet. What? Are they telling you to start scoring already? That's tough. If you only have a script, I mean, I would be asking for references from them. Okay, so I have several questions here. Okay. So, just as regarding the whole script thing, I would ask for references. You should be doing this regardless. So when you actually sit down or have the conversation with the director, you need to be doing a spot session. That's the first thing. So a spot session is where you watch the film together and have just a very deep conversation about what you want. Take really good notes, like take super good notes. Really important. Ask like, what are other films that inspire you? What are other composers that inspire you? What's some music you've been listening to? What kind of music do you envision going with this? Asking lots and 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 lots of questions. Like you cannot ask too many questions. Do not use music terms with directors. Like pro tip, do not use music terms with non-musicians. You will lose them, first of all. Second of all, what happens is a lot of times they think they know what they're talking about when they have no idea. I have stories. I'm not going to share them here. Maybe later. I have stories about that. I learned the hard way. Okay, so I'm gonna just jump into some other stuff. Sorry. Okay, so from my last 1 hour challenge, obviously you can get stuff done quickly. Do you think that most people get too deep in the weeds when mixing and obsessing over stuff? Which probably yes, 100%. 100%. And then do I have techniques to get perspective when producing or mixing? It's a little bit of a vague question. Maybe clarify that. Could you, if you could clarify that in the next couple minutes, that'd be great. I'm going to move on to the next one though, and then if I don't hear from you, then I'll try to answer the best I can. Okay, so do I listen to music while working on any personal music project? Do I close that out to focus completely? No, I mean I listen to music. I listen to music while I'm doing stuff. I mean, not like while I'm doing it. I mean, I'm not gonna have like music playing in the background. Um, yeah, maybe that's what you're asking, or I don't know if that's what you're asking. If I actually have music going on, like, um, while I'm doing it, no. Like, yeah, I mean, what I kind of like closing things out. To be honest with you guys, I'm terrible at like I don't know the artists I like I don't know the names of the artists that I listen to other than like a handful that I like. And the reason is because I like listening to so like what I'll do, and this is just to try to keep my brain fresh in terms of listening to music, is um Todd, I will get to you in just a second. So as far as like listening to music in general, I like going to songs that I know I like and then going to radio on Spotify and then just like putting it away and then just listening and like not even looking at the artist. I don't like looking at the name of the artist. I don't like looking at the name of the song. I don't really care. I think we learned a lot through osmosis. So we learn a lot by just ingesting a lot, like taking a lot in. And if I just start thinking too deep, this is a personal thing. Like, and this is I don't think you don't have to agree with me on this. I really don't believe you do. I I don't really feel like I need to know who I'm listening to. I don't really feel like I need to like have like, oh, you're the 10, artists that I like listen to all the time. Like I just don't. I listen to a very, very wide variety of music. I think the wider variety of music you can listen to, the better off you're gonna be. So yeah. Jabberwocky. So do you notice when you're getting too detailed on something, then jump to something completely different or take on a break to break the mindset? Hope that's clear. Hmm. That's a really good question. Abby, I'll get to you in just a second. I'm going to go to Todd after this. I'm like thinking about that. Do I notice when I'm getting too detailed on something? Okay, this is going to sound really, I don't know. This is going to sound a little conceited. I don't really have that problem. Um, and I don't, I'm honestly, I like, truth be told, I don't know if that's a result of having been doing it a long time or if that's just, or that's just not my personality. I think what's interesting is I think a lot of composers, a lot of producers, we tend to be, and I say we like very broad. Oftentimes we are very detail oriented. I think you do have to be extraordinarily detail oriented to be a producer. I'm actually not very detail oriented by nature. I had to teach myself how to be detail oriented. So I think for me personally, I don't have that challenge, but I think that most do. I think that's probably maybe somewhat of my advantage, to be completely honest with you, is that I learned how to be detail oriented and now I'm super, super detail oriented. But that's not my first thing I want to do. Like I'm typically just like put it all out there and like let's just make the thing and like let's just do it. And like so I don't know, like for me, just like creating stuff really fast has always just been a part of my process. And um with like the film scoring stuff, because like it's funny that we talk about film scoring here. That was my like entry into being a professional producer, a professional composer. It was in film scoring. Um and those deadlines suck. Here we're gonna give you a week to do this. Okay. Okay, so Todd, sorry, it took me a while to get back to you. I'd love to hear how you select a good reference track. Then once loaded, what are things you look for? Again, I don't really do my own mixing anymore. And to be honest with you, when I'm referencing as like on productions, I'm not loading it into my DAW. Like I'm just listening to music out and about, and just trying to take in as much as I can, and then I make a lot of mental notes on what I'm doing or what I'm listening to, and like, ooh, I really like that. That was really cool. I think I should try something like that in my own productions. So yeah, I don't have a whole lot of insight, to be honest with you, and I'm not going to talk out of my butt. Abby, what are the first things you do to start a song from scratch? Let me ask you a clarifying question, Abby. Are you talking about producing a song that's already written, or are we talking about actually writing a song? If you could clarify that, that would be super, super helpful. Um, yeah, Java Walkie, lucky you. I think the DAW might be getting in the way for me being a relative new logic. Yeah, I really think that the faster you can understand your DAW, the faster you can learn your DAW, like it will just speed everything up. It'll make your whole life like a lot better. And just like you don't want the tech to be in the way. Um, for me, like I I have a very different perspective about production, I think, than most people about producing. I really don't care about the buttons. I really don't care about the plugins. I mean, I do. It's not that I don't. I'm a composer. like that's, I've been a composer way longer than I've been a producer. I've been a writer way longer than I've been a producer. And so for me, like I never got into production because it was like, I want to record music and I want to like just make awesome tracks and stuff. It was always like, I'm just writing so much music. And so my whole introduction into producing, I was a freshman in high school and um, I had recently transferred to a different school. I was homeschooled and we had moved, started going to public school. And the choir teacher knew that I was writing music like all the time. Like I literally nonstop. I could tell you guys a little bit if you're interested, maybe not today. I could tell you a little bit about like how much time I've spent working on this because like when I say that I spent 5 hours a day on average, um, I'm not kidding. Like when I was in high school, it was not uncommon for me. In fact, it was the norm for me to spend about 5 hours a day, um, working on music. Um, but I'm a composer first. And so like everything to me is about composing better music and arranging better music. And then I use the tools to make it happen. And like I literally see producing as a means to an end, nothing else. And so I think that perspective has really helped me. It's a perspective that I kind of want to like honestly, I want to use this YouTube channel to kind of perpetuate and like hope that some of you guys can understand that like your productions will actually be better if you stop thinking about yourself as a producer and thinking more of yourself as a composer or as an arranger because those decisions tend to be way more impactful on the outcome of your production than the buttons that you push. The buttons are important. Like no absolutely like plugins and the effects you use and the choices that you make absolutely important. I just don't think they're as important as everything else. What's my opinion on horror? I don't really watch horror, so not a fan. Wilkes Reed, hopefully I'm saying that right. Do you watch breakdowns from people like Leno and Jacob Collier? Yes, I watch Jacob Collier's breakdowns and Collier. He makes me hate myself. Just gonna say, like, he makes me. Abby, are you there? I would love for you to clarify your question. What are the first thing? Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna answer it both ways. First thing I do from writing a song, if I'm going to start from scratch on composing a song, here's the thing I do. I use this thing. It's called a telephone. It's called a cell phone. And I have an app on here just called Voice Record. And I literally will make voice memos. In fact, I did one. This is so bad. I don't really want to tell you what I think about you. It's so bad. It's like I'm so embarrassed to show you guys that. I was just literally in my car. Like, I think it was yesterday. That's from yesterday. I just pulled up the first one. And okay, awesome. Yeah, Abby. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So that's the first thing I do and I have multiple different ways that I work. I do not really believe in one way. I think there are so many different ways of doing it. And I think that you're actually going to be really, really, really benefit. MK, yo. You're going to be super benefited by having multiple different approaches because the outcome will be different and your perspective will be different and the way you approach it will be different. And so I think there's so much value in one day just being like, you know what I'm going to do is just like figure out a really cool piano lick and then create a whole song around it. The next day, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to like figure out a really cool melodic idea with like a lyric, like what I just showed you right there, and then like create. Todd, I've gotten so much of that crap. What are you talking about? What crap are you talking about? Okay. I was like on a roll. I was on a roll. I'm surprised my camera's still like alive right now. It's like flashing at me saying like you're about to die. Okay. So anyway, there's a ton of value And like one day being like piano, one day I'm gonna like come up with a lyric and then like a melody. Like I almost always come up with melody and lyrics together. I rarely ever come up with just a lyric because I suck at lyrics typically. I don't suck at lyrics. I'm not terrible at lyrics, but lyrics are not my like. I like write lyrics because I'm like, I guess the song needs lyrics, I suppose, because I can't just write do's. Um, and others at times I just use like guitar. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll start actually writing the song inside the DAW. I'll literally just start producing. I've done entire songs where I've produced an entire instrumental track. I'm like, I have no idea what this song is about. Like, I have no idea. I have no idea what it's just this epic track. And then like I end up composing the melody on top of it. One of my favorite tracks I ever produced, I did it that way. I literally like produced the whole thing. No idea. Yeah, I will upload the live stream. Yes, it will be up so you can go back if you want. Hopefully I know how to do that. It's my first time, guys, for anyone who didn't know. Oh, Todd. Okay, yeah. The voice memos. I know. That's why I said I was so embarrassed to show you guys because like literally it's so bad. It's so bad. But you know what? Like doing it helps so much because I don't know about you guys. I am terrible at remembering music, which probably sounds super weird to say, but it's like 100% true. If I play it on the piano, I'll remember it for like forever. Yeah, I would literally just like that because I'm a pianist first and foremost. And so like I started out composing just instrumental music on the piano because funny story, I was told growing up that I was tone deaf. Like no joke. That's why I'm self-conscious about my voice is because like literally I was told I was tone deaf. It's so terrible. It's true though. So like thank you. I'm doing well. Yeah, this is my first live stream on YouTube. I've done it on Facebook before. But thank you. Appreciate that, L-A-Z. L-A-Z. Hopefully. Am I saying that right? L-A-Z? Callie Roo, how are you? I've seen you comment on a video or two. And I think, oh yeah, you're on Facebook. I met you on Facebook. It's awesome. Would I ever consider doing something like a subscriber logic session review on a live stream? Yes. That is a fantastic idea. I could totally do that. That'd be super fun. What you would need to do is just making sure I have all your plugins would be the main thing. If you're using any plugins that I don't own, that's where the problem's going to be. But we could figure that out. Yeah, I could probably do something like that. Yeah. Callie, I think you're in my private Facebook group. For anyone here that doesn't know, I have a private Facebook group called Make Music at Home. It's pretty small. It's only got like a couple hundred people in it, but if you guys want, you can join it. Just go into Facebook and just look up Make Music at Home. I can have a link when I actually upload this. I'll have a link for it. Todd, so I'm glad I'm not the only one. I can remember what I played for a decade, but can't remember an idea for 10. Yes, like literally that's me. I am the same. I can remember piano parts like super, super easy. But like melodies, I'm so bad at that. Like, so when I was in college getting my degree, I have my degree in music composition, which by the way, don't get a music degree. I'm literally going to be making a video on that here pretty soon. And I might lose subscribers before it. Yeah. Cause my views on getting college degree they're not very friendly. Oh, you have Damage too? I love Damage. I have been seeing ads for Damage too, and it's making me very upset. Yeah, Callie, you should maybe like put a post in my Facebook group about that to remind me, and then maybe I'll maybe like DM you or something like that. That'd be cool. Man, LEZ, you're like making me jealous here. You got Arcus, you got Damage 2. Unbelievable. I'll just use what I got. Okay. Let's see. Anyone else? We've been going for 55 minutes. This has been so much fun. I'm not going to lie. This has been like, I'm not even kidding you guys. This has been so much fun. I literally I literally feel emotional right now because like, and I don't cry. I don't. That's not true. I do cry sometimes. Um, Hi, hey. I cannot say your name because it looks like it's in Russian. Abby, you're a teenage producer. That is awesome. So Abby, here's the thing. I started producing when I was 14 years old. Um, and Java Walkie, I'll get to that in a second. Okay, so I started when I was 14 years old, and like just do it like all the time. Just do it all the time, and just finish stuff. Don't start and do the whole like, oh, I started this thing but I never finished it, and like it was whatever. Like finish stuff. And so write all the time, produce all the time. Just spend as much time as you possibly can doing it, and just like make sure you're doing it because you love it. Like don't think about it as a job right now. Just do it because you love it right now. Like it's so much fun to do. And then like if you get good enough, um, yeah, if you get good enough to then charge money for it, then like awesome, like it's super cool. But like you do also need to recognize that like things change when you start asking for money for something. Like it does become a job. You're gonna end up working with clients that you don't like. It's gonna happen. Like I have worked with clients that I would never work with again. And yeah, I it's do it, yeah, right now as a teenager, just like do it because you love it. Do it all the time. Spend every moment you possibly can doing it. You will improve like tremendously if you keep doing it. And then like skill set wise, like arranging and composing and creating actual music should be a higher priority than like learning how to mix. Like don't worry about mixing right now. Focus 100% on like getting really good at recording stuff, getting really good at the technique, getting really good at the arrangement and the composition, all that stuff. Um, what's happening? You know. Okay, so curious, is production my day job, or do I do the Patreon thing? I made an offhanded comment about a course you had on off. Is that how you make all the dollars? That will make all the dollars. Maybe someday I will make all the dollars, all of the dollars. Okay, so I do produce and do freelance work professionally, but that is not what I want to do long term. Because if you guys can't tell, I love teaching. Like, I'm not just the dude who's like, hey, I could make a lot of money online, like doing this. Like, yeah, like you can. Like, you can create a really great business doing that for sure. I am legitimately passionate about teaching. Like, that is the thing I've wanted to do for forever. Like, I when I was in college, I thought I was going to be a college professor teaching composition because like I just love talking about this stuff. I love teaching, and I think it. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but like I think I've got a pretty good perspective on explaining things, and I think I approach things a little bit differently than people. And maybe I just have terrible self awareness, but I I just love it. Like I love talking about this stuff. I get so passionate about it. I get so excited about it. So yes, I am building um, kind of like affordable courses that I'm going to be selling. But right now, what I'm focusing on is actually doing more like small, intimate, like really getting into the weeds with stuff. So like, and I don't want to just like totally pitch this here or whatever, but in November, I'm starting a program called the Home Production Accelerator. Only 6 people. I only have 6 spots because I want to make it like super tight. It's going to be a 6 week program from beginning of November through mid December. Um, and literally what it's going to be is like, I have an entire course that I'm building, like super, super deep, in-depth course that I'm building. And it is, I'm not going to sell it anywhere. Like the only way you can get it is if you go through the program. And then maybe I'll like, I don't know. Anyway, if you guys are interested, like I'll have a link for like the wait list. I'm kind of just like, you know, basically I've just got like, you can basically sign up to an email list where if you want to be notified when enrollment's open, because I'll just have like a period where it's like, hey, like I'm taking people, like you can apply. And then if I think you're a good fit, then we can like talk about getting in. And then, like I said, there'll only be 6 people. So it'll be like a lot of one-on-one with me. And I'll actually be able to like really do a lot of hands-on work on the teaching side of things. And then there'll be a lot of like peer-to-peer stuff as well. So that's the goal future. Like right now, I'm not making my full-time income teaching. in building a business online, doing it that way. That is the goal, though. I would love to be able to just literally focus 100% of my effort on YouTube and just like teaching through like courses, and then teaching through more of like the program side of things where I'm actually working with more people one-on-one. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay. Anyone else? No doubt. Great. Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, again, that whole program thing, I'll like, when I upload this, I'll have a link for it. I'm going to start kind of linking some stuff to that on some videos, just like, again, like if you want. But yeah. Thanks, Todd. That's awesome. Cool. We've been rocking this thing for an hour. Like, I know I already said this. This has been so much fun. Like, I'm literally okay. I'm gonna be doing this every single week. I committed here about a month ago. I'm going all in on the YouTube thing. I'm gonna be doing 2 videos every week. I'm gonna be pushing for like Mondays and Fridays. It might be some weeks might be Tuesdays, but yes, 2 videos a week. I already have the one for tomorrow done. It is on vocal chops, and it's fun. It's going to be awesome. Hopefully. Maybe I should not say that so fast. Hopefully it will be fun. It'll be good. Demonstrate 2 different songs I did some vocal chop stuff on. L, thank you. Appreciate the content and dedication. Here, let's try this. Boom. That's cool. This thing is awesome. Okay. Any like last call for questions? Last call. Like if I don't see anything in the next minute, we're gonna be like, peace. We're gonna leave. But yeah, just like I'm super appreciative of every single one of you guys that are joining me here. I'm so grateful, and I could not, like earlier this year, I think this is just cool for you guys to know too. Like I literally told my wife in January, if I had 5,000 subscribers at the end of the year, I'd be so happy. That's crazy. Yeah. Because now it's 18,000. I like my hat too. I'm going to put that up. Love this hat. This is a Nebraska Cornhuskers. Nebraska Cornhuskers. Go Big Red. It's a Scott Frost hat. I'm a graduate of the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, UNL, Go Big Red. So yeah. But yes, so Monday, Fridays, Lord willing, uploads. Thursday nights. Hopefully this works for you guys. If you guys like this in terms of like the time, cool. If you want me to try like a different time, then let me know. And then I can consider it and maybe do it. I don't know. We'll try things out. That's awesome. Should you get back to work now? That's great. That's cool. Get back to work. Come on. Okay. Have that bell firmly pressed. You'll be notified next time we go live. So Thursdays, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Toshiba Mori just moved up to Logic Pro. Your vids were a great help. Thank you. Appreciate that very, very much. Super, super awesome. Okay. I think we're going to call that a wrap. Check out the video tomorrow, guys. It will be up. And I'm going to go work on that thumbnail. So peace out, everybody. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you next week.